Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is enough. When is enough enough? We are in a culture that is constantly striving for more productivity, more efficiency, more money, more status, more experience, more. And good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. Great to have you here with us this morning. So this morning we're talking about enough. And there are times when more is less, and less is more, and enough is the path to our abundance. So we get to talk about that this morning. Should be fun. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any tension that's remaining, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together, feeling the friction, the temperature, the texture, the pressure, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to have you all here this morning. Rosalind and Bernadette and Lisa. Lisa, we haven't seen you for a while. Bernadette, welcome back. It's great to be with all of you and everybody else who's joining us. So today's topic is enough. And when we talk about enough, we get to look at when is enough enough. I think I was present to this topic because so many of us are caught up. Gia, good evening. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us this morning here, your evening there. And when we're talking about more, it's easy to get caught up in wanting more, right? I want more. And I think wanting more is different from wanting different. So let's just talk about more, whether it's more joy, more experience, more money, more of everything and anything. And I wonder, truly, when we can find the place of enough that is the source of the experience of true abundance. As long as we're believing in more or investing ourselves in more, then by definition, what we have, what we experience is insufficient. It's not enough if we need more. And so there's a lack by definition when we're wanting more. We're affirming lack. And I think that so many people get so wrapped up in the frantic pursuit of productivity, of efficiency, of acquisition, of just more, that we lose our center, we lose our presence, because we're caught up in this vain pursuit. And we've talked about enough before, we've talked about more, we've talked about sufficiency. But I think that sufficiency is such a beautiful place to come from, like being enough. Because in being enough, there's abundance. In being enough, in having enough, in doing enough, there's this opening that can occur to experience the gift of abundance. So, it's interesting when we talk about abundance, usually we talk about it in the context of wanting more. I want abundance, but we're not recognizing the abundance that we already have. And it's interesting because over the past several days, we've talked about prioritization, we've talked about money, we've talked about time, we've talked about spending our lives. And this is, I guess, it feels like it's a continuation of that conversation, but in the context of satisfaction, like cultivating our satisfaction. And I think it's important to note that satisfaction does not equate to complacency. I think the delusion is that we find a place and space of satisfaction, and then we don't do anything anymore. And that could be, at least for a little while, but frankly, I think that what happens is that our soul comes forward with its desires, expressing its desires and expressing its impulse to expression. And then whatever we create, whatever we do, emerges from that space of inspiration rather than the space of lack. And this is, it occurs to me where this conversation's coming from also is a conversation that I had with a new client who was talking about being addicted to productivity. And we got into the question about, well, what is productivity? And is productivity a production of things or situations or circumstances? What is productivity and what motivates it? Is productivity for the sake of productivity of value without intention? And that's what this person came to, is that it was important for them to connect to the intention behind their doingness. And this obviously goes into a conversation about human doing versus human being. And as we connect more to our beingness, to our essence, to our alignment, then the doing that emerges from that is an expression of our essence, of our soul. and it is a more authentic expression in life. And so what this person came to awareness about was that by doing less, by being more discerning about the doing rather than this frenetic movement to do everything and to be productive, that in fact it would be not only a richer experience, but it would be more meaningful. I mean, richer experience in being able to slow down and actually be present and appreciate the experience as it's evolving, rather than, having all these things pulling from a multitude of directions. So I'm wondering if this notion of less is more resonates for you, where actually more can be less, more obligations, responsibilities, productivity, effectiveness, more climbing, more grasping becomes less quality of life, becomes less aligned with who you are and what your intentions are in the world. That in fact, just the tortoise and the hare story just popped into mind, where the hare was running, and the tortoise was slow and steady, and the tortoise won in the race. I think the fact that it was a race kind of ruins that story a bit, but to be able to be present to the richness of life and connected is where we need to be. I think it's this addiction, cultural addiction to productivity that and efficiency and more is what has gotten our world into the state that it's in, because we weren't present to the consequences of our actions until it was too late, until the consequences were dire. And hopefully it's not too late, but I think we get to look at slowing down enough to appreciate what's present, to be present, because there is a richness in the present that we lose when we're in this constant striving and race for success, or whatever the externalities are. Externalities meaning the things that we're proving ourselves in the world, like, what have you done lately, kind of thing. And rather than having these external measures of value, to start internalizing value. We've been talking about value also this week, and values, and what do we value? What are we investing our lives into, and our hearts and souls, and our literal life energy? What are we investing in? And when we give ourselves space to breathe, then perhaps we can start appreciating the gift of breath and the experience of abundance in this present moment. It's in this conversation with you that I really am recognizing that this quest for more is a denial of abundance. And it's only when we get to enough is the state of abundance. You know, like that there's not that striving, that necessity to be grasping. So let's have your engagement here. Let's hear what this is stirring for you as we culturally are conditioned and encouraged to do more, to be more, to chase this notion of more. And I think that there's really, I think that one of the greatest inhibitions or fears about enough is that we'll end up being irrelevant, that will end up being, that will disappear, that will do nothing. And as some people say, you know, I'll just go sit in the cave and meditate, as if that's nothing. Because I don't believe that sitting in the cave and meditating is nothing, by the way. Because what's shifting there is the frequency of being, and that we are all connected. We are truly, literally all connected. The breath that we breathe was breathed by the dinosaurs. You know, the breath that we breathe has stardust in it. And we are all literally connected through our breath, even. You know, that the atmosphere has been here for forever. And it's got components of the atmosphere that was here in the very beginning. And as we breathe it, we're breathing that history, we're breathing that connection, we're breathing that richness of experience and wisdom and time and space. And when we breathe into that connection, what's available to us? What's available to us? There's abundance beyond concept, beyond conceptualization. That's unbounded. So what are you thinking? Let's hear from you. When we step back, you know, it's interesting because I know for a lot of folks, here we go. Rosalind says, the notion that the body is not strong enough. I need to exercise more so my body can be a vehicle for me to move through life. Well, Rosalind, that topic is really close to my heart right now, because I'm noticing that exercising has made such a difference in my experience of life, not just moving through life, but that's been a whole new experience too, to move through life feeling that like I'm in a strong body. So the notion that the body is not strong enough, I think there's a place of balance maybe to say, how am I now? And what feels even better? You know, and maybe when we look at what feels better, you know, in a way, it's a more thing, right? But better is more. And when you work out, do you keep working out in one workout to the point where you can't move anymore and then you're crippled for days because you made it too much? Or do you expand to a place where that's enough? Like, I noticed that that's something that is a conversation for me when I go to the gym. Is this enough for today? Would more be too much? And I think if the drive to strengthen yourself is coming from your internal space, then there's a richness about it. Jenny says, trophy. That's how I'm feeling these last couple weeks. Like you received a trophy, Jenny? Well, I have to say, you've been through it, girlfriend. You've been through it. And you have for sure received a reward that has transformed the context for your experience. And oh geez, no. So Jenny's saying atrophy. I thought, well, okay, so if atrophy is, well, that's a shame. But if that's the case, tune in, find out what your soul is calling for. You know, find out what you're moved to do or think or feel, or, you know, to presence yourself rather than coming from a state of pushing and grasping or reaching, instead to just tune in and align with yourself. And, you know, I realize that it's not necessarily as easy as it sounds. You know, some people have silenced their inner voice so completely that they just can't hear it. And I'm not saying that's the case for you, Jenny. I'm saying it takes practice and a commitment to be willing to hear that voice, let alone heed it. And it can start with little things. You know, it can start with what would raise my frequency in this moment. Melissa Hayes, I don't believe I've seen you here before. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here this morning. We're talking about more, and really we're talking about when is enough enough, and how this concept of more undermines the experience of abundance, which is an interesting take on things, right? Because usually when we talk about abundance, we think about it in the context of more. But if we're always striving for more, what we're affirming is lack. And so, as with all our other conversations, or pretty much all our other conversations, this conversation comes back to presence, being present to the wonder and awe that is available to us all around us all the time. So Jenny says, nah, not a trophy at all. Atrophy, as in health. Chronic kidney disease is becoming hard reality. Gasp. Yeah, I think energy healing of some sort. So good, Jenny. Facing health challenges is just, it's challenging to body, mind, and spirit. And finding ways to source your spirit, it can be very challenging, but it's also a way that we can hopefully we can find a way to rise above the circumstance and allow ourselves the gratitude, healing energy. Gratitude is a place to find that energy and to be grateful for what we do have, even in the face of dire challenges. Melissa says, yes, I always say I have plenty gratitude. Well, hopefully you don't just say it. Hopefully you actually experience it. I'm guessing that you do. Jenny says, energy healing to help others is a calling to me to help myself as well. 100%, Jenny. I think most of the energy workers most of the people that get into energy work or healing are drawn there because they need healing. I know that's certainly the case for me. Being in this path of transformation has been because I really needed to experience transformation. And it's the school of life experience, that brings us into focusing our interest and attention. It's often because it's driven from something internal, trying to solve a situation for ourselves. And good for you to be engaging in that. So anyway, I think we get to think about this paradox of abundance being or the quest for abundance being an affirmation of lack, and instead perhaps looking at sufficiency and enough as true abundance. What does that look like when we declare, I have enough, I am abundant, that I don't have to keep striving for more. And from that, there's maybe an ease that allows us to be even more present to our heart and soul. So Rosalind says, the notion that my community is not connected, I can ask myself how I'm showing up for others, so provide that for how I would like to see others show up. Right. That's also a beautiful thing, to recognize that our externality is in many, many ways a reflection of our internal experience. So if we're feeling that our community is not connected, perhaps we're not connecting to our community. So Jenny says, my daughter told me she became level 1 Reiki certified, and I started a business selling tarot card book and pendulums. She definitely had my DNA. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love the notion of your business. It sounds really cool, the tarot cards. Beautiful. Anyway, consider enough. And what does that look like? Not lack, not settling, but truly enough, truly sufficient, truly abundant. What does that look like? And how can you source that in your life? How can you recognize it in your life? And with that, that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And Dido, welcome. It's great to have you here with us. Great to be here with you. And Jenny says, have a full, blessed, beautiful day. Rosalind says, being versus becoming, being enough. Yes, 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 Rosalind. That's what it comes down to, is being enough. And with that, I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And please join us again at 9 a.m. Eastern on a weekday morning. And until next time, so much love to you.